Right, we'll finish off the shadowing of this by adding the actual shadows themselves. So I'm going to show you the hatch command. We've used this already slightly on the walls of the house in a previous one, but this time we'll try it a bit more cleverly. So if you use create a new layer, and we'll call it Psi Shadow, and this will be the main shadows, so we'll call it Build. And we'll choose a color for these. We'll use solid color for the shadows, probably color 253, maybe 252. So I'll set it 253 and make that current. And close that. Okay, what you want to avoid with hatching is trying to do all the hatching at the same time. If you do that, they all become one big hatch object, and if you decide to modify something, it's difficult to unpick a bit of hatch from the rest of it. So you're probably best to do your hatching in 5 bits. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 bits actually. 4 areas of shading. So if we do hatch, it's H-A-T-C-H. Okay, now this is an slightly older version of AutoCAD than they're using in the CAD suite at the moment, but generally things work pretty similar. So I want to use solid hatching, which you find at the top of the list, and I want to select objects. So as I say, one at a time. So pick this one, return, preview, happy with that. Click OK, press return. Do the command again. Select objects. Another easy one, the parapet one. Select the object, return, preview. That's looking good, press return. And again, select objects, do this one, return, preview, looks okay, press return. Final one's slightly trickier in that there's 3 objects. AutoCAD will interpret this in that it wouldn't hatch that, and hatch this. It will say, well, these 2 shapes are inside the third one, therefore it's the difference that wants hatched, the area in between the polylines. So press return to bring back your command, select objects, and then pick your 3 portions. And return. Preview, that's fine, press return, it's done. Okay, so you can see a very large amount of shadow, hardly any daylight. You have to stand against the wall at this time of the day to actually get some sun. Now there's some other objects in the scene. There's a tree here. Now I'd like to just kind of show you how you would project a shadow from this circular object. Okay, it's done in fairly similar fashion, but it's slightly more complicated. So let's jiggle the shadows around a wee bit, the layers I mean, and back to making Psi Shadow Makers the current one, and we'll just turn off the shadows and the polys just now. Okay. Right. What I need to do here is to try and establish a point, 2 points on the side of the tree where I can draw a tangent from. Now it sounds easier than it is. So the best way to do this is to draw a line from the center of the tree. So shift and right click your mouse and you can pick up center. So I'm just drawing a line from the center, and then I'm going to extend, so EX, return, pick the boundary, return, and extend the line. Return again. Probably easier if I add OSnap, add the circle OSnap, center OSnap to my list. Okay. That was a phone ringing then, in case you didn't realize. Okay, what I'll do now is just use the edge of the circle to trim off the line, and then I'll rotate this by -45. So now I've got two positions where I can place 45-degree lines. So let's use a couple that are already here. I'll move them. I'll try that again. Richie fails. So move, pick the object, return, base point, destination. Let's move this one to a new destination. Okay, now the shadow of the tree is going to be cast on the floor, not outside, so I could join them. I could join it to these lines. Okay, now that's the overall length of the shadow on the ground that the circular object will cast. So let's take up a couple of lines from there up to about here. I'm just going to switch on a layer that's turned off at the moment, and that's the groundscape layer. So I know where to place the tree. So what I can do is I can copy these items, use the middle of that line. Should have drawn a line across here first. That's the destination for the tree is the middle of that. So I'll do that again. So copy, use the middle of the tree, is the center of the tree effectively, and place it there. Return. Now the shadow is not going that way, it's going this way. So we need to rotate these objects using the center of the tree again. So RO, return. You could leave that line where it is. Take these two and rotate around this point by -90. Okay. That's starting to look a bit more interesting now. Now if I extend using this as the boundary and extend these three objects along. Okay, the middle line is quite important because this is going to help us draw the ellipse. Because a circular object will cast an elliptical shadow. Sorry, a spherical object will cast an elliptical shadow. A simple circular object would cast a circular shadow. So it's like a tabletop. A tabletop casts a circular shadow, but a ball casts a spherical shadow, an elliptical shadow. Okay, use the trim command and take this line and chop off here and return. Now what you should do is draw a line from the middle to perpendicular. Do the same on the other side. We've now got the points that we need to define an ellipse. This is the length of the ellipse, and this is the width. So the width of the ellipse will be the same as the width of the tree, but the length is longer. The light is coming down away from the tree. So use the ellipse command, EL, return, endpoint, endpoint, and then the width by picking there. You can delete a few of these lines. Keeps wanting to draw an ellipse. So let's try and get the right command. A lot of these lines can be deleted. Okay, and if the tree weren't all in shadow anyway, then we could draw the tree trunk coming back to here. Now remember, this would be in shadow as well. This building would be casting a shadow on the tree, and that's a bit trickier to draw, and I'm not going to try just now. Okay, but that's generally the shape of the shadow there. I would trim it off here, and then trim off there. So the tree gets added into this main shadow eventually. I'm not going to adjust the shaded bit just now. Just wanted to show you how you generate the shadow from that tree. Okay, that's the shadows bit's finished. Let's just turn the layers around a wee bit now. Let's put the shadows for the building on, but we will freeze these two. They don't need to be seen. Okay, I'll take this off. Now the shadow here is obliterating a bit of the detail in the drawing, so I need to send them to the back of the drawing. So pick the 4 shadow areas, sometimes a wee bit trickier to try and find an edge or a place to pick. Okay, I've got my 4 shadow areas, then type DR, short for draw order, and return twice. The detail we're interested in should come up again above it all. Okay, it never looks very good in model space, but when we're looking at our layout, we'll see if we can see anything, and add a viewport. The shadow makes a bit more sense when you see it in the layout. Okay, that's the end of the shadow casting demonstration.